Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Suichi on board the spacecraft autonomously undocked from the International Space Station at 5:35 p.m. Pacific time this evening, and then began a series of departure burns to move away from the station. We are bringing you live coverage of the rest of the mission, including the moment we jettison Dragon's trunk to its deorbit burn, all the way to splashdown, which is set for 11:57 p.m. Pacific time, 6:57 GMT off the coast of Panama City, Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately, due to a tracked and planned communications blackout, we won't be able to show you every step of Dragon's journey home, but we will bring you live status updates as they come in. And let's walk through all of the dynamic activities ahead of us this evening. We will be looking for claw separation coming up at 10:57, so less than 10 minutes from now. And that is the detachment of the claw, which provides telemetry, power, and data from the trunk.
Dragon SpaceX, we showed deorbit sequence start in just over 5 minutes.
Okay. There's Soichi, Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker.
And Resilience copies. We see the
Discovery. Go at throttle up.
Gypsy.
And Dragon SpaceX, be advised we're showing some ready return link down here. We will continue as pre-briefed.
And that communications...
Why did they not jettison the trunk after the deorbit burn? Trainman, they put Dragon into a decaying orbit, first and foremost. Hey, Max gifted 5 subs. Thanks, man. They put Dragon into a decaying orbit, right? And it's in a parking orbit right now. They'll dump the trunk. The reason they dump the trunk first is because you don't want to initiate your retro burn with the trunk still attached. Now, why? What if it doesn't detach? What if there's a problem with the detachment mechanism? Now you're stuck on a re-entry trajectory with the trunk. Yeah, they tried that one time with the Mercury program, with the retro pack being attached to the heat shield. It didn't come unbuckled. So you dump it first, and the trunk will decay. It'll come back down eventually. It'll burn up. It's only carbon fiber and solar panels and radiators. It'll burn up completely. So they leave it in the parking orbit. They leave it in a decaying orbit and then initiate the deorbit burn. You don't want to re-enter with the trunk attached. Bad idea.
Complete at 11:19
it's gonna
p.m.
be too far
Pacific
south,
or
Platinum.
6:19 GMT.
And once we fire those 4 bulkhead thrusters for the last time, we'll then close the nose cone. That should happen at 11:22 p.m. Pacific time. About 20 minutes later at 11:43 p.m. Pacific time, there will be...
Flyer up. These folks that are coming down, Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, Soichi Noguchi, have been up there since November 15th. They're coming back down now. They were replaced by Crew-2, whom we saw fly up a week ago. Crew-2 on the way up is Shane Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur, Aki Hoshide from JAXA, and Thomas Pesquet from the European Space Agency. They replaced them, and then they had a week of crossover, and now Crew-1 is coming home.
To GMT, we expect to see the drone
Arcane,
parachutes
29
deployed.
months.
Those are 2 parachutes that will begin to slow the vehicle down
That's
from
not really how that works,
350
Yard, but all right.
miles
I mean,
per hour.
You got to be
and
precise with your re-entry burn.
11:53, just less than a minute after those stroke sheets deploy, they will then pull out the main parachutes. We expect to see...
Why are their hands in a weird position? It's just resting position. You keep your hands will just do this in space, believe it or not. If you relax all the muscles on your arms, they just kind of sit here. So they're just chilling. That's a comfortable position like this. Didn't they leave the pack on the Mercury capsule because they thought the heat shield was loose? Something like that. Point is, don't have anything attached to your heat shield and whatnot. Bad idea.
Identified a total of 7 possible splashdown locations. In order to meet NASA's timeline requirements for crew recovery, these potential splashdown locations have to be close to a port and medical facilities. Since Dragon is capable of splashdown on either side of the Florida Panhandle, we have 2 identical and fully equipped recovery.
So this capsule right there is that capsule. Leah and Andy are sitting up here on SpaceX's mezzanine. That's the cafeteria, believe it or not. You can see the top of that same capsule right there. That's the COTS-1 demo capsule. That was the first Dragon ever flown into space. Wait, no, is it the first Dragon or the first one that went to the ISS? It's one or the other. It's one of SpaceX's very, very early Dragons. Roblox, thank you for the bits.
scheduled to start in 10
It's the first
minutes.
to fly.
So
Yes, okay,
for that,
Thomas,
we
there
are
you go.
obviously looking for claw separation and trunk separation, with that being part of the deorbit sequence now starting in under 2 minutes. So for these recovery operations, NASA and SpaceX
154.
closely coordinate with the United States Coast Guard to establish a safety zone, ensuring public safety and for the safety of those involved in the recovery operations,
public
as
safety.
well as the crew aboard the spacecraft. Multiple notices have been issued to the mariners in advance and during recovery operations, and Coast Guard patrol boats are currently deployed to discourage boaters from entering the splashdown zones. We want to stress to the public the need to respect this safety zone. Recovering a spacecraft from the water is a hazardous operation, and any other boats interfering increases risks to the astronauts in the capsule, the teams working to recover them from the water, and the safety of those that come too close. So for the safety of the crew and your personal safety, we recommend you sit back and watch as we will be bringing you the very best possible views of our astronauts' homecoming.
So the teams have been looking
a really nice
at
way of saying,
return
"Stay the frick
opportunities
away."
since April 28th, with weather being the major factor. We waived off our
that's
initial
lovely. Tell me
opportunities to
about it.
undock on the
Don't
28th
talk
and
about that
on
here,
the 30th, with teams making the decision to pursue our current undocking and splashdown plan just yesterday. The weather conditions for the Gulf for tonight's attempt are ideal for splashdown and recovery, with very low wind speeds and almost...
Dragon SpaceX, deorbit sequence start.
Okay, DSS initiated. Max, thank you for the bits, dude.
Presents copies, we see the same.
Okay, Mike reporting a good copy on the deorbit sequencer. Guy up on the left
We
there
just
is,
got the call that deorbit sequence has begun.
the guy up on the left there is this seat position right there. That's the crew operations response engineer. That's the guy that's communicating with the crew on the capsule and making sure that all the data that the flight controllers are seeing down here at SpaceX HQ is mirroring the data that is on the dashboard of Dragon right now. Hey, Everest, thank you. Just make sure they'll have some luck in case they need it. Yeah, of course.
Splashdown
Always.
off the Florida coast, as well as all of our recovery teams.
go,
They
Iger.
practiced for recovery conditions at night, giving us confidence to carry out this operation and bring the crew home safely. SpaceX also has additional personnel
Something
on the
like that,
recovery
Douglas.
ship to recover Dragon's parachutes, and our standard set of medical professionals and Dragon technicians to secure the capsule and get the crew out quickly and safely. And our fun history fact for this return: this will be the first night splashdown of a U.S. crewed spacecraft since Apollo 8's pre-dawn return in the Pacific Ocean on December 27, 1968, with
We're about
NASA
an hour out,
astronauts
guys.
Frank Borman, Jem Lovell, and Bill Anders.
So in the next phase
We is all
of the
about that
mission,
fact,
Dragon
though.
has a series of steps to complete before returning Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi home.
That's right, Flyer Up.
First,
They're up
Dragon
here.
will maneuver to the correct attitude.
In fact, you can see the lights that they're using to stage the scene. See the lights up there? They're standing right here. You can't see them because there's a Dragon. I mean, there's a Falcon 9 leg sitting right there. That's SpaceX has a leg and their first Dragon capsule right there. This is the mezzanine. That's SpaceX's cafeteria. There's it's a 2-story cafeteria, and they have like baristas and stuff and all kinds of really good food there. I haven't eaten there, but I've seen the food. I've walked all up in here. I've walked down this aisle, that aisle behind them. Walked all up and down here. It was nuts, dude. It was nuts seeing it for real.
Isolating the thermal control system fluid loops from the radiator. This system is what will help keep the internal temperature of Dragon
You can see the lights
for
from the
Mike,
kinda
Victor,
impromptu
Shannon, and
studio
Soichi
that they have up there, see?
nice and cool during re-entry. Dragon
Yeah,
is
there's some
also
Merlin
initiating
vacuum up there as
separation
well.
of the claw mechanism, which will terminate data, power, and fluid connections between the capsule and
Drew,
the trunk.
the food looked good, man. Looked
And
pretty
I'm
decent.
receiving information that claw
Lots of coffee.
separation is
Make sure they had the
currently
baristas in there,
occurring
seriously.
right on time, and that was scheduled for 10:57 Pacific. So right on time for that claw separation.
No,
Coming
too
up
bad.
next will be trunk separation
Trunk
very
probably weighs as
shortly
much as a
after.
small car. It's got solar panels and radiators and electronics and a bunch of other things attached to it.
And
man.
I'm sure we will hear a call out to the crew shortly about our claw separation.
Yeah, over the next hour, there's going to be a lot of events happening in order to get the Dragon spacecraft.
Dragon SpaceX, we show nominal trunk jettison.
Okay, we have a good trunk
Recovery,
jettison,
no one
guys. So,
And SpaceX from Resilience, we see the same. And You could definitely feel the claw step as well as hear it, and the same for trunk jettison was very obvious. And through the centerline cameras, you could definitely see a lot of the debris from the separation.
Dragon is now separated from
thanks,
its
Resilience, for that thorough report. We copy all.
So now Dragon's
so there were some report outs from the crew about what they felt when the claw had separated, as well as the trunk as it was jettisoned. And we did get confirmation that both occurred nominally, meaning that telemetry is looking good. The nitrox system is primed for cabin and suit cooling, and the heat shield is exposed.
Dragon
ready
is
for
reusable, flyer up.
Entry.
In fact, the Dragon that went up there a week ago, Dragon Endeavor, is reused. There is a reused capsule up there.
This is, again, the last time that the four Dracos, which are the four thrusters located at the top of the vehicle, the last time that they will ignite. The deorbit burn will place Dragon on a precise trajectory to return to the splashdown zone off the coast of Panama City, Florida, and will last a bit more than 16 minutes.
Looks like we're onto nominal comms for the rest of the mission at this point.
See the thrusters, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That's good news. Thanks for that update, Will.
They're gonna fire those, and the capsule will deorbit. And then after that, the nose
cone. And good
cone,
news indeed, as we were mentioning, we were tracking some issues with one of the TDRS tracking data and relay satellite system satellites that was preventing us from getting some communication from the vehicle at certain points in their orbit. However, that seems to have cleared up. And next, we are looking for deorbit burn to begin in just about 3 minutes. As we mentioned, that should last almost 16 and a half minutes. And that is the braking maneuver that's going to drop Dragon out of Earth orbit and bring them back into the atmosphere. So things are really speeding up with that nominal claw separation and trunk jettison.
You guys know my buddy Rockets the Guns. You like watching game dev. Like watching someone stream game development. Go follow Rocket. Good buddy of mine. What's going on, dude? How are you? About to watch a capsule surf some plasma, my guy.
To look well.
Hey.
And things look pretty good on Earth here too. This is a view from the Go Navigator recovery ship, and off to the left, that is indeed a dolphin who is checking out the operations as Go Navigator begins to move into place to recover Crew Dragon once they splash down tonight. So beautiful things in space and on Earth.
Yeah, it seems like we're not the only ones.
Can you tell us about dolphins' height?
Return, maybe.
Dolphins are mammals. They're not fish. They're very smart, and they're also jerks.
Of that 16-minute deorbit burn, we just had trunk separation, and a couple of things about the trunk separation. Earlier in the night, we performed a prop wasting burn to get rid of unneeded propellants. We shed about 80 to 90 kilograms worth of propellant, and to lighten the load that Dragon will be experiencing when it comes back to Earth.
What is this?
And this is an incredible shot right now we have of the separation.
That's the trunk.
That is Crew Dragon and its trunk now separate, flying free
from the ISS.
And we are just moments away from hearing the beginning of the deorbit burn.
Holy shnikes.
As I was talking, the trunk itself, and as well as the propellant used in this deorbit burn, once all is said and done, we'll be shedding about 6,000 pounds of mass from the Dragon spacecraft. So starting off at around 27,000 pounds, all going down to about 21,000 pounds. So those help to, again, lessen the load that the parachutes will have to
jettisoned.
sort of carry when they deploy and eventually slow down the spacecraft.
Ow.
This is just absolutely an incredible view, and this is coming to us from the International Space Station. So they do still have a little bit of an eye on Dragon. Once Crew Dragon begins that re-entry period following the deorbit burn completion, we hope to have infrared imagery thanks to the WV-57 aircraft that has departed from Ellington and is in the proper location, and they have thermal imagery systems aboard, and fingers crossed we get some visuals of Crew Dragon re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And right on time, we also have the start of the deorbit burn. As we mentioned, this should last 16 minutes, 26 seconds. So this has fully committed Crew Dragon to coming home. So just within the last 10 minutes,
right now,
Crew Dragon jettisoned its trunk and initiated this deorbit burn just a minute ago.
WB-57 is in the air.
And like we mentioned earlier, this deorbit burn is the last time those 4 forward Draco thrusters will fire. Dragon's resilience has not yet entered the Earth's atmosphere. This deorbit burn is what will line the vehicle up and put it on a final trajectory to the landing site in the Gulf of Mexico, just off the coast of Panama City, Florida. There is a beautiful shot of the crew inside. That is Commander Mike Hopkins, closest to your screen, and next to him is Victor Glover, the pilot.
I'm not doing it on purpose. Look, okay, so look
And
at
on
the
UI.
You
can see what
thrusters are firing.
As we mentioned, we are in the midst of the deorbit burn right now, and they are monitoring. So this is an amazing opportunity to get to see the inside of the cabin at this point. We just had that view.
You're watching the dashboard of a spaceship in space deorbiting being streamed to your friggin' computer right now. You've got to be kidding me, man. What is even happening? How did we get here?
The screens to keep tabs on the burn duration. The Draco thrusters.
They're using Draco thrusters, Ryan, to do those burns. Elm, 21 months. That's the RCS, guys. So Dragon has forward RCS, okay? So take a look. At the very front, and keep in mind I don't have the nose cone. See, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. The reason I leave this so I could take it apart to show it better. But on the very front of the capsule, there's 4 thrusters. See them? And then there's the docking port right there. They're firing those, and the capsule actually flies this way. It deorbits backwards, so to speak. They're firing them right now, and you can see on the UI that they're firing them on the screens. They've started the deorbit burn now. The deorbit burn is going to last about 16 minutes. And once the deorbit burn's initiated, you close the nose and then hold on.
All the way until the point of deorbit burn, because in the event that the weather shifted or we needed to potentially target a different site.
Mike and Vic are stone cold right now. What they're doing is they're watching the numbers. They're watching everything, and then they'll make sure that the numbers match what Mission Control is seeing. You see, they're just scanning. You just look for stuff. Just look. You see anything anomalous, you report it. But they're eyes on the dashboard, baby. Why do they alternate the thrusters? I think that's just the forward camera on Dragon, guys. I'm pretty sure. Either that or it's just some weird pulse modulation. I'm not sure why you would modulate a thruster like that.
Open right now for the 16.5-minute burn, and we will close
I don't think those are graphics, guys.
Complete.
I think that's the cameras facing out the front of Dragon. I'm pretty sure. Either that or that's one really sick UI. That's really cool looking.
3.5 minutes into the burn, continuing to monitor the data,
I know,
and continuing to get these great views from inside the cabin.
Yeah, it could be for temperature.
We won't keep these views for the entire return home. As we mentioned, once Crew Dragon really begins its entry into the Earth's atmosphere, we anticipate a loss of signal for about 7 minutes, where we won't be able to receive telemetry.
They do have mirrors on their left wrist. You know why? Because the spacesuit helmet stays forward. So if my headphones are the helmet, their heads can move individually. So you can't do this. You can't look behind you. So you just angle the mirror so you can see what's behind you if needed.
Due to the speed at which
you can see they're a little over halfway through the deorbit burn,
building up that heat to
they're off the
around
coast
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit
about 400
outside
kilometers.
the capsule.
Oh my
so
goodness.
very
400
cool
kilometers
view right
south
now.
of
On the
Hobart.
left, you've got from the International Space Station, Crew Dragon and its trunk, and on the right-hand side, the 4 astronauts who are inside that small white dot, preparing to return to Earth.
It's actually just their Winamp skin. Yo, that Winamp skin is fire, dude.
Trunk and
literally.
Distance between the trunk and the Crew Dragon vehicle is continuing to get larger and larger. And
they're going to splash down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Does effectively what his name says.
100 miles
we're
south
taking
of
the
Panama
vehicle
City,
out of
Florida,
orbit and lowering its altitude
on the Gulf Coast
until eventually, we make its way back to Earth.
What's up, RB? Hello. Hello. So if you look on the UI,
now 5 minutes into the
if you look on the UI here, see that? See the thicker part of the trajectory right there? That's the part on the UI where they're doing the deorbit burn. You can see, well, Leah said they were about 5 minutes in, so they got 10 minutes left to burn. But you could see their orbital track up there. And actually, next time they show that view, I'd like to see the top. Because if you see the top, the perigee should be going down. I'll show you guys next time. I'll show you Dragon tracking its orbital parameters changing in real time. That's right, Donald. Don't they need to close their helmets during the re-entry? They're not re-entering right now.
For about 6 months.
They're in the re-entry burn right now.
On November 15th
it's going to take
year,
a second.
And now really they're on their last section before they can return.
See? Look. So that's your orbital speed, 7.43 kilometers a second, 434 kilometer apogee. Or no, that's your altitude, 434.7 kilometer altitude. Apogee is 430 something. And look, the perigee number is going down. See? That's reading like 245. See, it's going down. They're deorbiting. Their perigee is your lowest part in the orbit. So when that perigee gets down to 0, that means you're going to come back down. They're slowing down enough to where they're going to let Earth's gravity pull them in. Splashdown is okay, yeah, I'll check that next time. The thrust modulation is altitude control. Or attitude control. Got it. Text was in the way. Yeah, so I've been told. How about now? Watch. See? The perigee is going down. See that number?
On the Earth side of things, everyone is in place
so
on the Go Navigator vessel
orbital velocity,
that needs to be there
altitude,
when the crew
apogee,
arrives.
Perigee.
2 fast boats will approach the vehicle and ensure
and then
there
your
are
inclination
no
is right
toxic
there.
vapors from those hypergolic
Don't ask me how I know that.
May be present after splashing down.
That's the checklist
they
right
will
there.
also begin rigging the vehicle and prepare
Mike's
it
just
for,
looking through the checklist. This is the next step
into
right
the
there.
Nest on Go Navigator. But ahead of all of that, we
well,
also
we'll
have
find
the
out,
other
Ivo, won't we?
B-57 aircraft from Ellington Field in Houston, Texas, that is in position, and we will be awaiting views from the aircraft once Crew Dragon begins its re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. There's a thermal imaging camera.
Guys, it's coming
on the aircraft.
If you're on the Gulf Coast, dudes, it's not running parallel to the Gulf Coast. It's coming up over the Yucatan Peninsula. So you're really only going to see it near Panama City or Tampa. That's about it. You're really not going to see it at any other particular point. You might be able to see it from like Port Fourchon in Louisiana, maybe. But once again, it's coming southwest to northeast because you're in a 51.6 degrees inclined right there. There's your inclination. It's right on the screen.
Base propellants. They are one of their properties is they don't require
no
an ignition source. So once
we'll be able to see it from Texas.
Are combined, typically a fuel and ox.
You might be able to see it from Boca Chica, actually. Yeah, you might be able to see it. Maybe it's possible. Once again, low on the horizon. And the reason why I keep saying that every time someone asks me, "Hey, are we going to be able to see it from X point?" It's because most of the points in the U.S. It's because it's coming southeast or southwest and northeast. There's an ocean in the way. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, Hike gifted us sub to rockets. There we go.
Vicinity, so
my
that
guy.
way the other personnel can approach and continue with the rest of the recovery operations.
Is this the new KSP2 UI?
We're coming up on 9.5 minutes into this 16.5-minute maneuver, so approximately 7.
Rocket, when's Icarus coming, dude? When you gonna lay Icarus on the world? I'm itching. The survival skills are itching. When Hypemare finishes it. Hypemare, when's Icarus coming? So, Hypemare. No! Oh, man. It looks good, man. It looks real good.
And a reminder of the astronauts that are coming home
today.
Oh, there you
go, Stackless.
They're closest to the screen is Mike Hopkins. He's the commander, and to his right is Victor Glover, the pilot. To Victor Glover's right is Shannon Walker. And to Mike Hopkins
no,
left,
most
we have
re-entries will
Seiichi
happen this way,
Noguchi,
CP.
an astronaut with the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency.
Got any more of those great games? We got 4 on board. So you're looking at Mike Hopkins here, commander of Dragon Resilience here. To the right is his pilot,
to your screen
Victor Glover.
Crew Dragon
Andy, don't
Mike
copy
Hopkins. A little bit about him. He was born in Lebanon, Missouri, but grew up outside of Richland, Missouri.
Oh, you're just going to one-up me like that,
as
Andy?
an astronaut by NASA
What
in
a
2009. Hopkins is a colonel in the United States Air Force and holds degrees in aerospace engineering. He also flew on the Russian Soyuz as a member of the Expedition 37 and 38 crew, logging at the time 166 days in space. He performed 2 spacewalks, totaling almost 13 hours to change out a degree.
I don't have a goddamn cue card like Andy does, Ren. This is bullcrap.
Including testing the C-17 and C-130 aircraft.
And those 2 spacewalks were from his previous mission.
Victor Glover is from Pomona, California.
On the International Space
This is
Station
his
during
first
this
mission.
flight.
He's a Navy
Added a
fighter
couple more,
pilot.
actually. And the deorbit burn, we
And
are just about
he
4.5
has
minutes away from that being complete.
I forget his
Things
degrees.
are still looking good. And as a reminder, this is a braking maneuver. So Crew Dragon is firing those thrusters into the same direction.
Classic Andy. Damn it, Andy.
Slow Crew Dragon down enough to drop it out of orbit.
The power of Atren is too powerful. You can't handle the power. Yeah, Victor is from Pomona. He was born in Pomona, California. He's a Navy fighter pilot. He has like I forget. I think it's like 400 carrier landings. That's off the top of my head, so someone will fact check me. I know. But yeah, this is his first. Well, yeah. His first time in space. Yeah, Geek. You got a pretty good crop with the turtles, huh?
So we are waiting on the deorbit burn to end, and that should happen at approximately 11:19 p.m. Pacific time, just a few minutes from now. The astronauts on board are continuing to monitor the burns of the 4 forward bulkhead thrusters.
If someone there is watching the stream, it would be Jammy. Hi, Jammy. Just in case you're watching the stream. Hello. Love your work.
Things have really picked up.
Just in case. They probably don't, but just in case. I know who does it.
We had claw separation.
Almost done with the burn, guys.
Trunk and
Master of Science in Flight and
Test
Engineering. Okay.
The claw connecting those thermal control, or the thermal and avionics and
it's pretty cool.
data and telemetry information between the crew capsule and the trunk. And we had trunk jettison and some amazing shots there for a moment from the International Space Station of both the trunk and Crew Dragon flying separately of one another. And now we are in this deorbit burn, now 14 minutes in, meaning we only have about 2.5 minutes left.
Almost done.
And this deorbit burn, committing them to coming home to Panama City, or off the coast of Panama City, Florida.
Might be Contra.
And we are looking at splashdown at about 11:57 p.m. Pacific
Worlds
time.
collide,
So
huh?
40 minutes from now, we will have these Crew-1 astronauts back on planet Earth.
And since that
Dragon has a reaction
and
train, man, yes.
jettison of the trunk, the Dragon spacecraft is running on internal battery power. So everything that you see on screen is powered by batteries on the capsule itself, and it's no longer drawing power from the trunk.
Now, as you can see, the astronauts still have their visors up
doing something
on their suits.
Vic's
that
doing
is fine
something
for
over
right
there.
now,
I'm not
and
sure.
they will need to lower those visors once it comes time for the re-entry of the capsule into the atmosphere.
Just want to note that they can use the touch screens with the gloves. Just saying.
We don't have those extreme temperatures building up on the outside of the vehicle right now. That's why we still have telemetry and communications with the spacecraft.
Oh, it's just rotating their view.
They will close their visors.
There's their re-entry trajectory, guys. Look, That's the re-entry trajectory. That's what Vic's checking out right here. See? Like I said, over the Yucatan Peninsula, coming southwest, going northeast. That UI is slick as
Everything
frick,
looking nominal for this burn.
Okay, so look. Their burn's almost done. Look at their perigee. The perigee is 24 kilometers. See that? 24.5 and going down. Almost done with the deorbit burn.
And this deorbit burn is a braking maneuver.
It's clutch.
After this,
You want to know where SpaceX poached their UI developers from? The video games industry. I think I'm kidding. SpaceX showed up. SpaceX has basically showed up at every GDC for the last 10 years. No joke. Elon poaches UI developers from the video game industry. Oh yeah, that's absolute. SpaceX is at game developers conference all the time.
Call out as you
saw.
saw.
That's why the UI is so slick, dude. I'm dead serious.
One of those tracked loss of signals.
In SpaceX, we show deorbit burn is complete with nominal performance. Nose cone closure initiated.
Okay, they're gonna close the nose cone on Dragon now.
And SpaceX from Resilience, we copy all. That's great news, and we're following the nose cone closure.
How long till splashdown? About 25 minutes, guys. It's not yeah, it is JavaScript. On the front end, how to rock, it's JavaScript. The back end is Linux.
Successfully, and now we're moving on to nose cone closure. In the background right now, Dragon is currently inhibiting those forward bulkhead thrusters that we just used to complete
What's
the
big lump
burn,
on their thigh?
ensuring it's safe
First
to
aid
latch
kit
the
and an
nose cone
iPad.
shut for re-entry.
The iPad has
Also,
the
vehicle
checklists on
has
it.
initiated the nitrox suit purge. This will help keep.
You don't see the boss? She's right there. What are you talking about? Elon's the chief engineer. Gwen Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, is sitting left seat right there. She runs SpaceX day to day. Elon does not run SpaceX day to day. He's the chief engineer.
So we are standing by for confirmation of nose cone closure. We needed to wait until this point because we were using those forward bulkhead Draco thrusters underneath the nose cone to complete that deorbit burn. We did hear nominal deorbit burn, so things continue to move very smoothly.
So check it out. On the front of Dragon, you have 4 thrusters. See them right here? 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Anticipated
those are the thrusters that they just used to deorbit.
About 1 minute.
And now what they're going to do, they've initiated the nose cone to retract. So the nose cone on Dragon's out like this, and what it's going to do, or what it's doing right now, is this.
Hawthorne in California.
It's locking up. Hopefully it doesn't do that.
Folks supporting the astronauts.
It's going to lock in like that.
We are
and that's going to protect the docking port and the forward thrusters during re-entry.
11:43 p.m. Pacific time. Again, that is when we have a ton of plasma buildup at the bottom of the capsule. It's going to start to interfere with some of the communications, but that is
this
planned,
is what it looks like in a re-entry
should last for about
just
7.5 minutes at that time. The Dragon spacecraft will continue to steer and pilot itself towards the targeted landing site of off the coast of Panama City until we get those communications back and once again can talk to the astronauts.
And we just heard a call that nose cone closure is about 50% complete. So
I would want redundant control squall, but Elon disagrees with me. So
momentarily, that nose cone protects the.
They are 3D printed Hypemare,
yep. The astronauts use to ingress or enter and
what's your favorite space TV show?
The International Space Station, and so it's important that we are able to protect that area for potential future reuse of this capsule. So we're standing by for confirmation that the nose cone has fully closed.
Orville is good.
The next major milestone we'll be looking for is the entry of the vehicle and
TNG,
that anticipated loss of signal
TOS,
of the spacecraft.
Deep Space Nine.
Entry of the vehicle should begin around 11:45, so about 23 minutes from now.
I like the Expanse.
And we will be tracking the vehicle its entire way back, even though we don't necessarily have telemetry with it.
Mandalorian, good call. I don't know if that counts though. But
and as those
more space westerns, please.
The vehicle starts to make its way back to Earth. The astronauts on board should experience a peak of 3 to 5 Gs.
Yeah, the WB-57 is up there, guys. We're gonna get some shots of re-entry from a chase plane. Yes, Ryan. So does Starliner. Oh,
and then the drogue chutes will deploy, and the main chutes will also deploy after that. And then we can start to begin
Serenity,
recovery operations in this nighttime
Firefly
splashdown.
All right, guys, we are about 20 minutes out. No, 30 minutes out, excuse me.
About the nose cone closure.
Many times, Nuggets.
And the nose cone is closed.
Wait for the call.
The forward hatch now being protected, and those 4 forward bulkhead Draco thrusters underneath.
So as we begin the second half of entry, Dragon is now beginning to flush nitrox into the cabin, and
Ryan.
continuing to top off Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi's suit with cold air. Again, this is what will allow the cabin temperature to remain comfortable while external temperatures reach over 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat shield is pointing forward, the bottom, so to speak, of the capsule, leading the capsule into the landing site. And the suits themselves can detect if they start to get too warm, and will automatically start drawing in that nitrox again to keep the astronauts nice and cool all the way down.
Entry. Oh, that's hot.
So we have some time until that next major milestone, as we discussed. With the nose cone closed, we'll be looking for that loss of signal. That could come as early as 11:43 with our re-entry to Earth's atmosphere at about 11:45, so 20 minutes from now. Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi, as we've noticed, they are monitoring the actions throughout this this procedure, and they should be able to continue to do so throughout the splashdown of Crew Dragon. They shouldn't have to take any action. Dragon is a fully autonomous vehicle, and so it can fly itself.
Jesse isn't hosting the cast tonight.
Of course, we got Andy. And command some movements of the vehicle and some other actions, but things have moved very smoothly throughout the day so far.
Starship just doing an
we are looking
maneuver?
at an on-time splashdown at
11:57
p.m. GM or 11:57 p.m. Pacific time off the coast of Panama City, Florida, and hopefully along the way the astronauts will simply be able to monitor.
And we did get a weather report just a few minutes ago, and weather continues to look great, excellent, if I may say.
Yes, Ascendant.
Wind speeds
you know why?
are very low, and the height of the waves are also very low. There's no
Look, Ascendant, we can do this. Ready? Prolonged eye contact. Prolonged eye contact. Pull burn my contact.
out of the water, hoist it using a crane on the back of the boat onto the deck. And then we have a couple of checkout procedures to get through before we open up the hatch, and medical staff can start to attend and evaluate how the astronauts are doing before they, eventually get into the helicopter and start to make their way back towards land.
No, I haven't slept in a long time.
As we've mentioned, we were initially looking at returning these astronauts on the Wednesday the 28th, having them undock from the International Space Station, and then we looked at Friday,
You want me to really freak
April
you out?
30th, so just yesterday, and we were really waiting on perfect weather conditions, which is what we're seeing.
I'm gonna really
tonight.
freak you out?
And so just a little bit more about exactly what that means and what those parameters are like for us when we're considering splashdown locations. We want the wind to be no greater than 10.5 knots, which is about 17.7 feet per second. And the latest report that we have, the wind is around 2 knots, so very much within that range. We'll need no lightning within or
yeah.
away, or
Yeah,
no
Funk.
Dragon SpaceX, we show nose cone secure for entry.
Sorry, I haven't slept in a long time. Do you know? Here, let's listen.
And good news being relayed to the Crew Dragon crew that nose cone is closed.
Nose cone's closed, dudes.
A little bit more about that recovery criteria. We were talking about lightning. We don't want that within the 10-mile radius and away or within the vehicle area, as well as no more than 25% chance of rain. We don't want any clouds lower than 500 feet, which means that's cloud ceiling. We don't want that any lower than 500 feet. And we need at least a mile of visibility for a night splashdown. So everything is really lining up perfectly for splashdown tonight, and we are continuing to watch Crew-Dragon execute all of the pre-programmed maneuvers. The next major one, now with the nose cone secured and all of those hooks secured, we'll be looking for really re-entry.
And once the Dragon spacecraft splashes down, we typically try to target about an hour before we can get in there, recover the vessel, and open up that hatch. But it'll depend. It'll depend on, if there's any hypergolic vapors in the air, how fast the boats can get to the capsule. But certainly expediency is of the utmost urgency for us. So the recovery team will certainly try their best to make sure the astronauts are in good, safe hands and on the boat, and eventually the helicopter as soon as we can do so safely.
In fact, this is the first capsule splashdown at night since Apollo 8, dude. Yeah, Apollo 8 was the last time we fished a capsule out of the water with people in it.
So as soon as splashdown occurs, those two fast boats will begin proceeding toward the vehicle. They'll be sniffing for those hypergolic fuels.
I'm talking about American stuff.
We don't want any of those toxic fumes within the vicinity of the capsule. And we will have one person go onto the capsule and begin to rig it or prepare it to be lifted out of the water. And once the recovery ship backs up to the vehicle, they can connect that to the ship and lift it onto the ship.
Why are they doing it at night? Gad, the biggest reason why they're doing it at night and why this is a quick re-entry burn is because weather conditions. That's the biggest one. The weather's really denoting it. They got 1 mile an hour winds in the Panama City recovery zone with 1 foot swells. That's nothing. That might as well become water. So they do have a 25% chance of rain, but that is low. So the reason why they wanted to do it right now is because the ISS's orbit only goes over Florida every once in a while. The orbit moves. Oh, there's the capsule right there from the ISS. The ISS can still see it. So they picked this one, and this one had a 6-hour re-entry and deorbit window. But the main reason why they're doing it right now is because this is the calmest time, and the trajectory crossed Florida, basically. Here, I'll show you.
Now, if you look closely in this picture, that is still Crew-Dragon, that view from the International Space Station. As we mentioned, Crew-Dragon has just completed its deorbit burn, but that doesn't mean that it's out of space yet. So
see the track? So not this one, not the dark to light one. That's the day-night cycle currently. The ground track is this line right here. So that's currently where they are. They're over the South Pacific right now. They're gonna fly up here, pretty much over the Galapagos Islands, right? And then they're gonna fly down over Central America. They're gonna go pretty much right over Mexico City, maybe a little bit to the south of Mexico City, and they're aiming for a splashdown point basically right where the shoreline meets Florida, right where the shoreline in Florida meets this blue line right there. That's about where my mouse cursor is. So this track, right, you can see the ISS's next orbit, or this is the last orbit. This is where it's going. It doesn't always cross Florida. The next orbit will be over here, and then the next one will be over here, and the next one will be over here, and the next one will be over here. And then it'll keep going. And that's because the ISS is orbiting and the Earth is spinning underneath it. So Dragon and the ISS don't always cross over Florida. They gotta wait until it crosses over the Florida Peninsula.
I'm taking a look at what the crew aboard the International
Space
Station is doing.
So those squiggly lines are called the ground track.
Some of them are actually in their sleep period.
It's just a projection of the spacecraft's trajectory over
be asleep right
on
now,
a flat
they
version
also
of the map.
may be, who knows, up in the middle of the night. And
so the reason why the ISS's orbit is so squiggly is because if you look at the Earth, right, and you draw a line on Earth's equator, right, and then you looked at the ISS's orbit relative to the equator, that angle would be 51 degrees. The reason why the ISS's orbit is so tilted is so the Russians can reach it and so we can reach it.
Winds at
'Cause
3
it's an
knots.
international
Wave
project.
height remains less than 1 foot. Wave period still at 5 seconds.
3-knot
Recovery
winds.
team reports in position, ready to support.
Less than 1 foot swell. That's calm water, baby.
Okay, no changes to timeline. Everything is looking good. 3 knots on the wind, less than a foot in 5 seconds on the period. We're currently showing 220, and we're working through our entry brief, and we'll give you a go here momentarily.
Swishio,
Okay,
offset center
SpaceX
mass.
copies. Thank you.
You know, as the folks on the crew
No problem,
capsule
Platinum.
itself, when your core calls you and says everything continues to look awesome,
Yes.
that is probably the greatest of great news, as the capsule is gearing
Shatter.
up for re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere and eventual splashdown here within the hour.
They splash down in the middle of the darkness. Isn't that dangerous? If the water's calm, Velo, not really. The capsule has strobe lights on it. You'll find it. You'll see it coming down. Guys, we're going to get an IR strobe of this capsule re-entering. Now, keep in mind, this other 3D printed model that I have has the trunk on it, so just ignore this part. The capsule's going to come. Look at how calm the waters are. That's a picture from one of the recovery ships. That's from Go Navigator. So check this out. When the capsule comes through, it'll look like this, and we'll see an IR strobe of this thing flying through. Yeah, look.
Amazing place
Frickin'
to
dolphin.
explore, and I think the ocean is as well. And so this is
Yeah,
one
look
of
at how
the
calm that
local
water is. It
residents
looks like a pool.
in the area of Go Navigator at the time.
That's the frickin'
Go Navigator
ocean.
has now
Look at the
moved
color of the
closer
ocean.
to the location of splashdown, and
Now, I'll tell you what. I'm from the northeast part of the U.S. Our ocean water doesn't look like that. It's green. And, like, green. Yeah, like seafoam green. It doesn't look like that. It's not blue. No, no. It's because we kept throwing stuff in it? I mean...
Dot in the center of your screen is the Dragon capsule.
so
And the crew is inside
in it,
there, and we're continuing to adjust the cameras. But it continues to make its way back towards
I
Earth.
love that dirty
and those cameras can be
water.
adjusted by teams on the ground in Mission Control Houston.
Florida water
so,
is crystal
as you
blue
mentioned,
like that, guys. It
the
looks
astronauts
exactly like
still
that. I've
on the
seen it,
International
man.
Space
It's so
Station have the
beautiful.
opportunity to be getting some sleep now. They very well
Sorry,
might be
Blinka.
watching the coverage. And
That's
we
the
thank them
Charles
as well
Day
for
guy.
tuning in. But
Yeah, dude.
but yes, just an amazing view for us to get to see this image of Crew Dragon still in space, counting down to that
You don't want to see
beginning
the
of
oceans up here,
re-entry.
Ryan. It doesn't
all
look like
happens
that,
very
bro.
fast
It's
once that
green.
begins. And we are looking for re-entry
freaking
to
green,
begin
man.
at 11:45, so less than 10 minutes from now.
And SpaceX from Resilience, tablets are secured on the satchels, restraints are tightened, and visors are down.
Okay, crews, put visors down, guys.
SpaceX copies on tablets, restraints, and visors. Thank
Make
you.
it hot. We're about 20 minutes till touchdown here. This is a view from the ISS looking at the capsule. They got a good visual. Better than the brown water in Texas.
The crew reporting to the core here that they are in the proper configuration for their deorbit, their re-entry essentially. So their visors on their suits are now down and locked in place. We saw them earlier during that deorbit burn. The visors were still up, and they needed to be closed prior to the re-entry. And so it sounds like everything is properly secured and stowed.
So this is a picture from the ISS looking at Dragon. That's Dragon. That's Dragon Resilience right there. This is a picture from the International Space Station. You're watching a guy that's restreaming a live stream being streamed in real time from a space station traveling at 17,500 miles an hour, looking at a capsule that's going 20,000 miles an hour. I just want to let you know that that's what's going on right now. That's what this is looking at right now. Yes, the capsule is going a little bit faster. The reason why it's going faster? Well, it's deorbiting. Falling from 400 kilometers up or 270 miles, you start to go pretty damn fast. Yeah, I'm going to hit it going about 20,000, give or take, 20,000 miles an hour, somewhere in there. It's like 35,000 kilometers an hour, no big deal.
7:57 p.m. Pacific time, we have splashdown of the Crew-1 Resilience capsule.
Yep, 4 souls on board.
Dragon SpaceX, we show 5 minutes until predicted calm blackout. We will see you on the other side at 0650.
Godspeed, guys.
And SpaceX Resilience copies. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Watch the bottom right of screen. Guys, that's the trunk.
And there was that...
that's the trunk.
Hello?
Blackout
period that
that's
I had
the
mentioned
trunk.
earlier.
That's Dragon's trunk. It jettisoned
just
it.
Confirming again the time and the expectation that there will be a blackout period at approximately 11:43 p.m. Pacific time for 7.5 minutes. Again, the Dragon vehicle
23,000 miles an hour coming
autonomous
back from the moon
and
firework. But yeah,
really steering
know
itself at this point. So
39,000
miles.
Yeah,
communications can't
it
be
will
sent
be that
back and
fast.
forth between Dragon and ground. The vehicle is really
it's pretty far
doing
away,
its own thing
Balxy.
and making sure that
they're about
reaches the targeted landing site.
They're
as
about
intended.
200 kilometers below them right now. That's an estimation.
We are 4 minutes
it's a long way away. These
from the
cameras
predicted
are really
loss of
good.
signal. And this is something that occurs whenever we bring home crewed
3 to
spacecraft,
5,
whether it be
Funkmaster.
a Crew Dragon or a...
Now keep in mind, as the atmospheric density gets higher and the capsule starts to slow down, you're going to see varying G-forces from 3 to 5 Gs. Yeah, it varies. So the peak G-load will be about 5 Gs sustained, but that's only for a little bit. It's only for a second.
This time we're looking at about 7 minutes. So it's something that we're very
Does that mean the
aware of
ISS
and
will see the
experienced
re-entry? They
with.
might.
And something else we are just learning is Crew Dragon is about 140 kilometers in altitude.
Oh,
so
shoot,
we
I was
continue
right.
To,
It was
track
200
its
kilometers
journey
below him.
back
Yeah.
to Earth.
All right.
We are now
Your
it looks like
boy.
3 minutes
Your
away
boy's getting
from
dangerous
that
at this.
anticipated LOS.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Your boy's getting good at this.
So yeah, Leo and I will continue to be with
Sure,
you live,
Vile.
not
I
just
got you.
until splashdown, but afterwards as part of the recovery operations.
Now you got lucky. Oh, shut
we
up.
want to make sure that the team is
problem,
picked
Bob.
up out of the water and safe and
KSP's
sound
paying off.
on
Those
the
KSP gains, though,
Go
bro.
Navigator boat before we sign off. So we still got a bit of time here, but we do have quite a bit of events coming up in the next hour
Pretty
and a
much,
half.
Guy, yeah. You want a cookie?
Until the crew is
Yeah.
safely back on Earth.
I do.
And speaking of recovery, that leads into a Launch America question that we have.
Ask America.
Do any medical checkups happen after the return of Crew-1 back on Earth? Yes, that's actually
Absolutely.
the first thing that happens once
They got a field
Crew-1
hospital
returns
on
and
the
is
back of
hoisted
No
onto
Go
the ship.
Navigator.
The
No
first
Navigator.
person inside the hatch will be
Nice.
a medical doctor that speaks with the crew and allows them to let them know how they're feeling ahead of
Recovery
egress
dolphin
or
is in
being
place?
taken out of the vehicle. And as soon as that happens, they'll be moved in for
No
some
people
further
named
medical
Gavin.
checks ahead of
Sorry
being
if your
flown
name's
back
Gavin.
on a helicopter to
Gulf of
shore
Mexico,
in
G-Nac.
Florida. So
Coming down
that'll be the
near the
first
panhandle of
thing
Florida,
that
dude.
happens. Safety of our crew and their health is our priority.
Yeah, and part of landing selection slides, one of the criteria is we have to be close to medical facilities. So everything is really planned around the safety of the astronauts and make sure that they come back nice and healthy because they've had such
They do out of an abundance of caution.
rigorous sort of time
yeah.
up in space,
They'll
being
help 'em out.
microgravity and now returning back to Earth. And
They'll help them out, and they'll go right into basically a field hospital. The recovery ship that's out there is called Go Navigator. Go Navigator is a 170-foot dynamic positioning ship, a 170 DP1 right here. So check it out. Couple of things. There's the recovery equipment that recovers the Dragon. This is a previous mission, right? And you got the boat part. You got a lot of telemetry and tracking stuff up here on the ship, right? And then there's a helipad on the top. If if the poop hits the fan, and to also get the astronauts off the ship fast, they can take a ride. They'll probably take a ride right back to Houston. And then see this thing below the helipad right here? That's a field hospital, just in case something goes wrong. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna go up to the Dragon capsule. They'll take this A-frame and they'll pivot it forward. There will be a diver that'll go out and he'll climb on the capsule. He'll latch it. They scoop it up out of the ocean and they put it down on a little sled right here. And then the sled is attached to a winch and it'll pull the Dragon forward to this gantry right here. See that gantry? The Dragon will actually translate all the way here, right? And the capsule, they'll pull it underneath the helicopter pad to protect it. And then there's a camera that's right here looking back at the capsule. We should be able to see the crews open up the hatch and get them out. What they're going to do, First thing they're going to do with the capsule is they're going to open the access panel, right? They'll open up the access panel, and then they'll depressurize the pneumatic seal on the hatch, okay? And then once the pneumatic seal is depressurized, then they'll open it up. First thing they got to do is just make sure there's no hydrazine leaks. Actually, before they do that with the hatch, that's the whole hatch opening procedure. They got to check for leaks. Dragon is a really nice spacecraft, but its propellants, the reaction control thrusters, are really bad for you. That's really toxic. The nitrogen tetroxide and monomethyl hydrazine will kill you if you inhale it. So they're gonna send out guys with gas masks, and they're gonna sweep the capsule for any leaks or anything. And once the leaks are okay, once they've confirmed it, then they'll start taking the access panel off and opening up the capsule. Opening up the capsule. Sorry, it's late. I've been streaming for a long time. They dump most of it port, but there could be residual. Just because you empty a bucket of water out doesn't mean that the inside of the bucket is dry. How long does that take? It usually takes 20 to 30 minutes.
Period. This will last.
You'll see the whole thing. They'll show all of it.
Due to plasma formation around the spacecraft.
Okay, they're in re-entry right now.
During this time, no vehicle telemetry is received by mission control or the recovery team, and no external commanding of the vehicle or voice communication is possible.
I don't know, mine's pretty
and just as a reminder, Dragon is designed to fly itself and continues to autonomously use Draco thrusters to orient itself during re-entry.
It's a habitable capsule. The word works.
During re-entry, the vehicle will be slowing down from orbital velocity, which is approximately 17,500 miles per hour, and the top temperature around Dragon that Dragon will experience upon re-entry is about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
And of course, inside the capsule will not get near that hot. We expect the temperature to raise to about 85 degrees. And the astronauts have cool air inside the vehicle as well as inside their suits. And so we have just entered the time of entry interface.
Okay,
so
we're at EI
Dragon
now.
is now experiencing the Earth's atmosphere for the first time in almost 6 months.
Albert,
so we are continuing to be in this LOS period. As we mentioned, it should last about 7 minutes, and that began at 11:43 p.m. Pacific time.
The WB-57 should get us an image of the thing re-entering.
LOS period, and the crew knows that we will be in communication with them on the other side.
All right, so they're in communication blackout.
And this is got to be the period where if you followed Bob and Doug's re-entry, they had described Dragon as sort of coming back to life when it re-enters the atmosphere. So again, those temperatures are caused by friction. So the spacecraft itself is moving at such a high rate of speed that it's hitting all these air particles, and so
Gulf of Mexico, about 100
the vibration levels
something miles
and,
from
the sound
Panama
has
City.
got to be sort of elevated at this point as it continues to go through the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, this is the first time that the vehicles felt this lift and this drag since launch. The atmosphere in space that doesn't exist.
If you're in the panhandle, Velo, look south.
Haven't been feeling this and been able to hear those sounds that you were discussing. So
no problem,
it's quite a different moment after having 6 months in microgravity. They will begin to start feeling some Gs, as we mentioned, between 3 and 5 Gs upon their re-entry. And we are standing by. It's been about 4 minutes now since that loss of signal began. That's an estimated 7 minutes. The plasma is building up on the outside of the capsule as it continues entering the Earth's atmosphere. The temperatures around the capsule building up to 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yo, let's go!
And this view from our WB-57 aircraft.
Bro!
With its thermal imaging cameras, we will be
looking
for...
She's coming!
The...
Yo, it's coming in hot, baby!
Come into view, and there you can see it in the entry of Earth's atmosphere. Crew Dragon continuing its journey home.
That's awesome!
So there's a material
Umbroso,
on the bottom
31
of
months.
the capsule.
Dude!
Pica 3.0 stands
so
for
cool!
phenolic impregnated
baby,
carbon ablator. That is the material that is really shielding the capsule from extreme temperature. And so the capsule itself goes in sort of
so cool. First, she's coming in hot.
And that lightweight material, and that is...
Look at the shot from the ISS!
That is the Dragon
What is
re-entering
happening?
the
How did
Earth's
we get
atmosphere
here?
as it leaves that trail behind. And then again, that illumination is from all of that heat that is building up due to friction of just the re-entry speeds of Dragon when it meets the Earth's atmosphere.
And that view coming from the boat.
That is so badass.
Crew Dragon continuing, as you said, into
That's so
enter
cool.
Earth's atmosphere. So having these two views right now, with it being
so this is IR, it's infrared, so you should be able to see the plasma.
Pretty exciting that we're getting
we got a track.
Two good views upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere.
You can see the plane's coordinates and altitude over there
so
on
again,
the left.
a lot of things are happening pretty rapidly here. In about 3 minutes, the first set of parachutes will deploy. They are drogue chutes. They are conical in nature, and their job is to stabilize and begin sort of the initial deceleration of the vehicle, followed very shortly after by the main parachutes. There are 4 of them.
Dragon, SpaceX, comm check.
And SpaceX, this is Dragon, over 4Gs, 42 kilometers.
Yeah, baby! We have recontact with the crew.
Loud and clear. Expect automated chute deployment.
Hell yeah, man! That's so cool!
And resilience copies. We are at 40 kilometers, 4.34 on the Gs.
That's Commander Mike Hopkins reporting the Gs that they experienced upon re-entry. And as you heard, we are now out of that loss of signal portion.
All right, we're not out of the woods yet. Let's get those chutes deployed, guys.
From the spacecraft.
I think my heart skipped a beat as soon as I heard the crew responding back. And, you know, one thing I did note, as soon as Mike turned on his comms, there was a lot of background noise. And that is sort of, you know, the after effects of Dragon's re-entry.
That's always the scariest part,
So this view again from the WB-57
I had a bad
aircraft.
experience once. But not
SpaceX,
today.
A GPS is converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Resilience copies. Nominal altitude for drogue deploy.
What's circle on the left? Camera. It's the camera track relative to
now
the
30
plane.
kilometers over Earth. It's quite a quick drop over that 100 that we saw just a few minutes ago. And now we'll be looking for drogue parachute deploy within the next minute or so at 11:52 p.m. Pacific time, 6:52 GMT. Those 2 drogue chutes should deploy at 18,000 feet in altitude. Crew Dragon will be moving approximately 350 miles per hour.
Dragon, SpaceX, recovery team reports visual.
Frick you.
Good news, we're at 20 kilometers, seats are rotating.
Oh, that is so sick, dude.
SpaceX copies on the seat rotation.
That's so cool. Oh, come on, man. I don't mean to fanboy up, but that's really, that's awesome, man.
The proper landing position. We saw them a little bit more reclined earlier, facing the top of the capsule. And now they are more forward-facing towards that side hatch.
Like that, Ryan.
We also got confirmation that the recovery teams can also now see Dragon coming back.
Brace for drogues.
Okay, here we go.
Copy, braced for drogues.
So the drogue chute is a chute that you can deploy at high speed, and that it's designed to work at high speed and designed to create minimal drag, but it does slow you down. All right, they need to use the drogue chute to slow down to deploy the main chutes. You don't want to deploy the main chutes when you're going too fast, or they just rip off. So the drogue chute is a little bit of a brake to slow them down.
So we are waiting for confirmation that the drogue chutes have deployed. We are expecting them to deploy any minute now.
And it looks like
there it is.
Those might be our drogue chutes.
Yeah!
Visual 2 chutes.
Yes! Oh, so good. All right, stand by for main chute deploy. This is going to get these guys down below 100 miles an hour here, or about 160 kph.
SpaceX copies and concurs. Nominal descent right on 2 drogues.
Okay, and then you should see the main chute deploy. It's 4 big shoots.
Good news after good news. 2 drogue chutes have deployed. Everything looks nominal, and we're slowing the Dragon vehicle down.
What is this?
We are expecting the 4 main chutes to deploy
Andy,
within
stop
the next
copying
minute.
me. All right, so when the main chutes go for deploy, you should see a hatch pop off. The hatch will separate from Dragon.
And those
there
4 drogue chutes. Oh, you can see them being pulled
there
out
it
now.
goes. All right, so it's going to take a second for these chutes to
Visual
inflate.
on 4 mains.
And Resilience copies, and we see a nominal descent rate.
SpaceX copies and concurs. Nominal descent rate.
4 good shoots, baby.
And this view coming from the WB-57, very clear image of those 4 main parachutes, slowing the vehicle down to what will be about 16 miles per hour prior to splashdown just off the coast of Panama City, Florida. If it were daylight, we would have an image of those 4 beautiful parachutes being orange and
3,300
white.
feet off the deck.
And still getting these incredible views, even though we are in a nighttime splashdown.
Why not 5 shoots? Because 4 was enough.
So we are waiting
Actually,
for
3 is enough, to be fair. They have a redundant
splashdown.
chute on purpose.
The Dragon 1 program had great success with water landing, with 20 successful splashdowns over the course of that program, 9 of which were carried out by flight-proven Dragon spacecrafts.
1,500 feet.
In space height, you've broken, but we show you just under 800 meters. Still good descent rate.
Oh, no. A little higher than that, about 2,000 feet.
Just under 800 meters from the Earth. That's about
3
half a
yard.
mile.
Dragon's heavy.
And we are tracking
Yo, G4.
splashdown.
And 600 meters, and we're showing 10 meters per second on the descent rate, a little higher than nominal.
SpaceX copies.
And what a view we have here. Even though it's nighttime, we have some great visuals of Dragon there with his 4
about
main
1,000
chutes
feet,
deployed,
guys.
slowly coming back to Earth.
I don't have
Splashdown
anything
is
to
scheduled
say.
for just a few minutes from now.
400 meters.
Now
Oh,
just
no,
a quarter
okay,
of a
so
mile
about
away from
1,200 feet.
splashdown. And that splashdown time scheduled for 11:57 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, Hellfish, right?
And SpaceX, we show nominal descent rates, 200 meters, brace for splashdown.
600 feet.
SpaceX copies. Brace for splashdown.
500. I'm guessing. 400. 300. They said
Seconds away from
16 miles an
splashdown,
hour.
everything nominal aboard Crew Dragon Resilience returning to Earth.
200.
And there are the
Recovery
boats
boats are out.
starting to chase after Dragon to begin their recovery operations as soon as Dragon lands.
100 feet. 30 meters. And we're down. We got a splashdown. Wait for Mike to say that everything's okay.
But we have visual confirmation of the Crew-1 Resilience
SpaceX
capsule.
From Resilience. This is excellent news. We are splashed down. The pyros have fired. We're water.
Good.
SpaceX copies and concurs. We do main cut as well.
So they cut the chutes. And we got a nominal splashdown. Recovery boats are right there.
You heard the applause.
Right at 257.
The Crew-1 capsule has returned, and we have successful splashdown. The main chutes have also cut as well. The fast boats are now making their way towards the capsule to begin the recovery operations.
Sometimes
Again,
that happens,
first boat
Winterscythe.
is going to start to inspect the capsule and make sure that there isn't any residual toxic fumes in the air.
Dragon, on behalf of NASA and the SpaceX teams, we welcome you back to planet Earth, and thanks for flying SpaceX. For those of you enrolled in our frequent flyer program, you have earned 68 million miles on this voyage.
And SpaceX, Resilience, it is back on planet Earth, and we'll take those miles. Are they transferable?
And Dragon will have to refer you to our marketing department for that policy.
And we are in 1. That's 3.1 of 4.800.
And Resilience, please repeat last about 4.800.
Okay, we are at 3, and we show stable 1.
SpaceX copies stable 1. Good news.
You can tell that Mike's a test pilot. One joke.
It's a bit of levity
is all
from
that is
the
allotted.
crew and
One
the
joke,
core,
right back to the checklist.
about the transferable mileage.
Ryan
and
will
that
have
splashdown coming at 11:56 p.m. Pacific time,
Dragon has its service module built into it,
GMT. We're hearing reports that the capsule is in stable 1 position, meaning it is upright. As we heard, those 4 main parachutes were cut, and those 2 fast boats will soon approach the vehicle. They will be able to, as we mentioned, sniff for those hypergol fuels, as well as attach buoys to the parachutes and make sure they are recovered. The teams have been ready and waiting about 3 nautical miles away, so it's going to take them around 20 minutes to make their way to Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi inside Crew Dragon. And while the teams move in, we are continuing to watch this scene unfold and this view coming from Go Navigator, the recovery vessel on which we will see Dragon hoisted later.
How does Dragon not sink? Well, it's airtight, so it should be watertight as well, dude, don't you think?
Yeah, that was just so cool to see. The teams had visual of Dragon with his chutes deployed, coming back down to Earth, and then you saw the fast boats sort of just as fast as they could, heading over to Dragon, just to make sure that everything can happen as quickly as possible and make sure that the astronauts are safe.
I'm not sure, Katra. Couple 100 miles damage case.
And good news, the recovery vehicle has a go to approach the spacecraft.
Dragon SpaceX, we are go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside in about 1 minute.
Okay, so they're going to go sniffing out around the capsule to make sure there's no fumes from the propulsion systems.
SpaceX from Dragon, that is great news.
Yeah, Geeson.
And that comes right on time as well. Just 5 minutes after splashdown, those fast boats are going to be able to approach the capsule and put buoys on those parachutes.
Ryan, it doesn't.
And the hypergol checks will continue. And eventually someone will help rig up the capsule to be picked up by the Go Navigator once it has to go to approach the vehicle as well.
Yeah, Aiden, I know what you mean.
And all of this action coming after undocking from the International Space Station at 5:35 p.m. Pacific time today, just 6.5 hours from them to board the Crew Dragon, or to depart on Crew Dragon and splash down back on Earth after almost 6 months in space.
And here's a aerial shot of those fast boats approaching.
Dragon SpaceX comm check.
So,
and SpaceX from Resilience, we're still reading you loud and clear.
Is a dude climbing on it?
Loud and clear as well. We just completed a minor comm configuration. Thanks.
You bet. And we see some lights outside. Looks like some people are getting close.
Affirmative. Quite the welcome home party.
So it looks like that first boat has already made it to the capsule. There are a number of other boats and recovery vessels standing by. And once we clear the area of from any hypergolic vapors, they'll move on to the next phases of recovery.
The recovery ship should get over to
and
the
some of
fast
those
boats.
darker spaces you see there in the water are the
All right, so check this out, guys. So this is an infrared picture. What you're looking at here, there's the 2 of the parachutes are there, another parachute's there. That's the recovery boat. This fast recovery ship is putting buoys on the parachutes so they don't sink. This launch over here is safing the capsule. Those are the guys that are sniffing around for the hypergulls. They probably have a bunch of gas masks on. The fumes that come from the Dragon capsule can get a little bit toxic. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to sniff those. The monomethylhydrazine and dinitrogen tetroxide that the Dragon uses for its thrusters are no good. That's bad for you. So they're sniffing it out right now. And another cool thing to notice is that with the infrared, you can see the guys on the boats, but you can also, if you look, the boats are all black. They're darkened out, but the capsule is freaking bright and shiny because it just went through re-entry. It's a little bit warm, a little bit on the warmer side right now, but check it out. You can see people swimming around in the water right there and see people on the boats. Hey, Space Dive, what's up? Capsule's a little spicy right now.
We are clear of any hypergulls in the area, so we are starting to send the recovery vessel. And
you can see people,
we'll
and then you can see the
hoist
engine
up
on the boat.
Dragon in about 25 minutes.
The engine's hot on the boat. They can see that.
PMC.
They can see that from 9,000 up.
Again, the medical staff or one of the first people to talk to the folks inside the Dragon capsule. So, in about 30 minutes here, we should be seeing the.
So this is from the recovery ship.
The astronauts egress from.
This is from the recovery ship Go Navigator. That's that ship right there. That's a camera right there. You can actually see it. See it right there on the front? That's that camera. And it is currently steaming towards the capsule right now. Go Navigator does not use steam. It's diesels. It's got 2 big diesel engines in it. Starting to look like a J.J. Abrams movie.
Navigator.
All right, there's the capsule.
Everything's still moving on timeline with this recovery tonight. The first splashdown of a NASA and SpaceX Crew capsule, and the first splashdown for NASA since 1968 with the return of the Apollo 8 astronauts.
Splashdown at night.
One thing to note, you can see the sheen of the ocean with those lights there, and the sea itself. That could have been mistaken for a beach, but we are in the middle of the ocean and the seas are just as calm as they can be.
Yeah.
Again, weather was something we were tracking and we waved off splashdown a couple times this past week, but today's conditions seemed absolutely serene. There it is.
Yeah, look at how calm those waters
landing
are.
And recovery
No
operations.
chop,
So
nothing.
it's just a great thing to see.
Couple hundred
that,
miles.
They don't have to combat any type of inclement
I think they're a little bit
weather
over
while they're
100, but not
doing
more than 200.
such important
I'm
work
not sure. I
here
forget
in the
what they
Gulf of
said.
Mexico.
How long do these astronauts need before they can get to their homes? They could go home right now, damage. But what they're going to do is they're going to get them out of the vehicle. They're going to take the spacesuits off. They're going to go through a field checkup on the Go Navigator, and then a helicopter is going to come, and then they're going to take them right back to Johnson. And then from there they'll debrief and then see your family and go home. You see these? They put strobes on the parachutes, the strobe buoys on the chutes. At least I think that's what's going on.
And the crew members on board still just monitoring the status of the recovery, and as Andy mentioned, will participate in a private medical conference to report back on how they are feeling. And once they are brought on board, they'll have an opportunity to be checked out by medical personnel as well.
Oh, got a helicopter. Good idea where this happened. Let me see, Jaywalk. How far are we off the coast? Oh, that's actually not bad. That's actually really close. That's less than 100 miles, dude.
Seeing some activity of that fast boat around Crew Dragon. That's what's in the middle of the screen right now. There is a much larger recovery vessel.
There she is right there, like a toasted marshmallow enraged.
That will hoist up Dragon onto the back end of the ship.
Your last for the distance, Thomas.
We're expecting
25 miles offshore, not bad.
25 minutes.
Cool. That's actually not bad at all. Just landed. Yep. Yes, Pasatka. There they are. Drummer, you got to go back and look, man. They had pictures from the ISS looking down at the capsule re-entering.
And I can't tell exactly, but we may already have
so
that person
gnarly,
on Crew Dragon
cool.
Beginning to rig it in preparation
for
so
awesome,
when Go Navigator can approach and it be attached to the ship and brought on board.
And then we had a shot from the fast recovery ships of the Dragon coming down with its chutes, and then the WB-57 had it coming through re-entry. It was so freaking cool. Oh yeah, Alexis? Oh, we gotta see it. That was from the Navigator, I think. I don't know. Hey, Adrian! Hey!
So this was the primary
Ciao,
site
come
that we
stai?
landed on. Off the coast of Panama City in Florida. We did have an alternate site off the coast of Tampa. There was an equivalent amount of personnel and hardware and ships ready to perform the same type of recovery operations in the event that Dragon had to choose that site over the primary one.
The Dragon Tamer's on the capsule. So you guys right here.
Things continuing to go smooth.
You can see the recovery crews are on.
And
they're on the capsule
here. We did get a report
here.
that the crew is feeling well inside the capsule.
If you guys like European STEM streamers, Adrian's your guy. Adrian, thank you very much. Grazie. Molto bene. Grazie, grazie.
The crew reports that they are feeling well, and that's quite a feat in itself to be feeling well after 6 months in microgravity and to return to gravity. So great news all around tonight.
They're back
with the return of Crew Dragon Resilience.
A little bit, Anders. Nice to be here. Frax. Pineapple on pieces like, Right, Aiden? It was pretty cool, huh? There's a shot of the capsule. That thing just came back from space. There's 4 people on board.
Coming up on just about 15 minutes since we had splashdown today. This evening, that splashdown coming at 11:56 p.m. Pacific time, 6:56 GMT. And now you can, a little more clearly on the right-hand side of the capsule, see the person who is preparing it for their to be picked up by Go Navigator with that rigging system. And that's right on time as well.
Nice.
And so this is the Resilience capsule. It flew for the first time in November of last year, and when it flew, it was pristine and white, and now we've got
it's
a
like
little
a
bit
toasted
of
marshmallow
toastiness on its side, and some people have described the re-entered capsule as a sort of a toasted marshmallow, and again, that is just from all the heat on re-entry. It is continuing to stay buoyant in the Gulf of Mexico. The Dragon vehicle itself is designed to be waterproof.
Zello,
and
how
in
you
the
doing?
event that there is a breach, we do have some abilities to pump water into some bladders in the capsule.
Look at this
to make
dude,
sure
just
that
up on the
it stays
capsule,
buoyant
whatever.
for as long as possible. But everything continues to go well. We are now seeing a
looks like he's pulling out some parachute rigging
on top of the Dragon capsule, preparing it for hoisting later on.
Oh, he's attaching the rigging so the crane can pull it out. Hey, Dutch guy.
And that's a great picture. You can see just how calm the sea really is. That is
so cool.
The Gulf of Mexico.
Nah, we don't need this.
It's pretty amazing that it's that truly glassy, as we heard described earlier.
Man, look at how big that capsule is, dude. That's a big capsule. I mean, it really is. Dragon's actually huge.
A great view of the capsule now, and the person preparing it to be hoisted on to Go Navigator.
Yeah, Ryan. Orion during the Apollo missions will be wrangled by an amphibious assault carrier. The Navy's going to go and get it. And they'll do the same thing.
And as a reminder, we're going to remain live with you throughout this coverage up until the crew has been extracted from the vehicle.
Looks like they fired up the engines here.
Another view from Go Navigator. You can see
so they're
nest
repositioning
right there.
the ship.
That's where.
So this ship right here, Go Navigator, is a dynamic positioning ship. So it has thrusters in the front, and then it has 2 screws in the back, and then sideways thrusters in the front. So it's capable of dynamically positioning because this thing is designed to go out and service oil rigs, at least in its stock configuration. The one that SpaceX uses is highly modified. Now, what they're doing now is they're using the forward thrusters to basically turn the ship so the back end is facing towards the Dragon. Dragon should come into shot over here. And then they'll use this big A-frame right here to snag the capsule, and then they'll pick it up and they'll put it on that donut right there. Look at how big the ship is. It's huge. See, there's Dragon over there. Marines are the Department of the Navy, Ryan. Yeah, Bram, you really don't notice how big the thing actually is until you see people standing on it. Go Searcher and Go Navigator are big ships. 170 feet long. That's, what is that? Almost 60 meters? 55 meters, something like that. It's a big ship. The Marines, the Department of the Navy. Yeah, the men's department. Oh, you... No squids like that. Yep, you just made some enemies, I think.
Well,
where's the crew? They're in there. They're in the capsule still. They'll pick them up out of the water, and then they'll open up the hatch.
To Crew Dragon, and
you don't really want to open up the hatch when the capsule's still in the water. They tried that once. It didn't really work too well. No, freaking Gus Grissom, freaking during the Mercury missions, the capsule blew out and the capsule sank, and he had to get out of it while the thing was sinking.
Repeat call. We are proceeding nominally. It looks like the recovery vessel is about one
Heavy.
boat length away.
Starfleet.
Backing up.
Dragon's
big.
spacecraft.
That is great news, SpaceX. Looking forward to it.
That's correct, Flecken. Yeah, they did, Mitch, but Apollo had inflatables on it, so it stayed up above the water. The hatch just blew. It was a technical malfunction. Yep. Confirm. Go Navigator's being controlled from the rear deck. There you go. Bullet catchers using the same joke. Whoa!
Backing up towards the Resilience capsule. As the
it was awesome, Paul.
Personnel continue
so cool, guys. They had a picture from the ISS looking down at the capsule going through re-entry. Gnarliest thing I've ever seen. Actually, the only thing cooler was seeing the space shuttle do that. But yeah, I didn't watch that one live. Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. Okay, firing the engines.
Towards near the
they're gonna hone in on the capsule
forward
here.
hatch, and it should allow them to more.
It was from the recovery boat. I really don't think it was, Elro, but all right. She said it was from the boat. Oh, not as cool, but still cool.
Now been 20 minutes since tonight's splashdown. 6:56 GMT, 11:56 PM.
Burb.
Pacific time.
What's a bird doing all the way out?
Mike Hopkins,
it's on the
Victor
boat.
Glover, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi, all inside Crew Dragon.
Well, Mutter, that's not as cool.
Recovery operations proceed nominally.
But we did have some shots of the capsule from the ISS. We did.
For the recovery of our Dragon spacecraft with NASA astronauts Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and JAXA astronaut Soichi Noguchi inside. Dragon has already autonomously completed several steps to safe itself following splashdown.
So Go Navigator is contracted by a company called Goose Offshore, G-U-I-C-E. Goose Offshore is a contractor for SpaceX.
Panama City, Florida, at approximately 11:56
Bradley, what's up, dude?
PM Pacific time.
Approximately.
Dragon SpaceX rigging is complete. Approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift.
Kindar tones, Flykin.
Resilience copies, 5 minutes to lift.
What would you say if you did that
news.
guy's
they
job?
Continue to get closer to the
and
spacecraft with rigging.
What would you do if you had this guy's job and somebody asked you what you do? I'd just be like, oh yeah, I just recover stuff out of the water in case someone's stranded, you know. Like, would you flex on people? Be like, yeah, I recover capsules that came back from space. I'm a crane rigger, space crane rigging specialist. Space salvage. Legitimate salvage, cowboy.
Deployment of its parachutes to slow the spacecraft down to a gentle
I catch
splashdown
dragons, right?
at just
I'm a
about
boat
16
ninja.
miles per hour.
Nice.
And we're now following the
Space
final part
ninja
of
that
Mike,
rides
Victor,
dragons in the
Shannon,
ocean
and
with
Suichi's
dolphins.
journey as Dragon is
You think
lifted
people would
out of the
believe
water
you?
and placed on the recovery boat.
Professional sea dragon
Upon
rider.
detection of landing, Dragon automatically
dragons,
releases
dragon
the main
wrangler.
parachutes to
Look,
prevent
I mean, look, the
wind
dude
from
just
pulling
crawls
the
right up.
spacecraft. Dragon then automatically safes any pyrotechnics still present on the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations. The astronauts do remain seated
Bram, right?
and in their suits at this point, but the
Yeah, see?
onboard air
Look at the
conditioning
guy.
keeps
Just
temperatures
chilling on the
in check
capsule.
inside of the spacecraft, and the communication.
So the guy that's up on the capsule right there, or girl, is sitting in the parachute compartment. Dragon keeps its parachutes low, and when it pops the parachutes, it shoots mortars out the side right here, and then the mortars are connected via a little channel on either side of the hatch to the parachutes. Parachutes actually come out the side, believe it or not.
These fast boats have very specific roles. On first approach, it's immediately focused on safety inspection of the capsule integrity
Yeah, dude,
and
real
checking for
calm,
any
dude,
presence
real
of those
calm.
hypergolic propellant vapors we've been talking about, ensuring that it is safe for Go Navigator to
Right,
approach
Mike?
the
Yeah, I know
Dragon
what you mean.
spacecraft. Once the capsule is cleared for full approach, the team begins rigging the capsule for water recovery by the recovery ship, which we recently heard was completed. And the second fast boat is responsible for parachute recovery and also serves as a redundant boat to the first. And we saw that team member or on a jet ski helping
Fifth
to
Dragon
gather
2
up the
Splashdown.
detached
Fourth Crew Dragon.
parachutes as well.
Third Dragon to be recovered by Go Navigator.
So it took about 10 minutes for the recovery crew to complete their safety checks.
Yeah, Q. That sounds right.
Once complete, the team will begin
All the capsules
preparing
were tilted,
Dragon to be
Revel, when they
lifted
came
into
down.
the
I don't know what
recovery
you're talking
vessel.
about.
And as part of this preparation, one member of the recovery team will
pulling
climb
them
up
in.
on top of the capsule and rig the Dragon spacecraft as they just did a few moments ago.
Dude, that is so
And then
cool.
from there, it will take less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and remove the crew from the spacecraft.
So they have two lines.
And then
One's
after
right
that,
here.
after
the
medical
other's right
checkouts,
there.
the crew will return to land within 4 hours, either by boat or helicopter, depending on the
Yeah, they
landing
don't
site.
land in rough seas, Kappa.
If no
That's why they
medical
chose
assistance
tonight.
is needed, the crew will depart for Houston.
And if you look very closely, you can see down to the bottom right of the capsule, there is one attachment on Crew Dragon. There will be multiple to
Hayden,
keep
you're not wrong.
and there's another on the left. There will be multiple to
There
keep
was,
the,
Dutch guy.
the spacecraft
Oh,
from
yeah.
swinging once it is hoisted
So,
out of the water.
There were some shots from the ISS, but not of re-entry. Thomas Pesquet on Twitter has that figured out. There was a shot from Go Navigator, and there was a shot from the WB-57. The shot from the WB-57 was insane, dude. Really cool. Well, the dudes are just guiding the cable. It looks like there's a winch right there, pulling them in. Okay, lower in the A-frame. Oh, God, dude, this job would be so sick. I would do this. I would do this job all day. Who do we have to talk to? You know? I'm not sure what that line was that they just threw out there, but... They've been up there for 6 months, Bruce, since November 15th. That's when Vic, Mike, Shannon, and Suichi launched into space. I know, Mike. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, yeah, Casper. It'd be insane, man. It'd be insane.
And as you can see, Crew Dragon now at multiple attachment points.
So you want to see how
to
heavy
that
this thing
system
is?
on Go now.
You want to see how heavy it is? Watch the back of the ship tilt when they pick it up.
Copy. 90 seconds. Thanks, so.
So about a minute and a half until we see Crew Dragon removed from the water. And there's still
No,
a team member up
luckily they won't.
on the front of it. That's likely the same team member who helped rig the system and prepare it for attachment to the vessel.
Bro, do you even lift? Yeah, watch the back of the boat. It'll tilt. That thing is
And
heavy,
as we
man.
mentioned earlier, this splashdown, a
Like
new
as much as a
record.
Mack truck.
breaking the old record for the longest crewed capsule in orbit from America, previously held by the final Skylab crew at 84 days.
That job is
15
sick,
minutes.
bro.
And this crew returning with 168 days in space and doubling
awesome.
that previous record.
Oh, what's that? What's that coming off the capsule there? Yeah!
Dragon SpaceX, brace for capsule lift.
All right, here we go.
Go ahead, Sol. We're here at the lift.
Oh, you see the ship? You see the ship go down? Dude! That's so freaking cool, man. You gotta be kidding
Dragon
me.
Resilience now out of the water.
Notice that they hooked the crane up to the same place where the parachute's attached, right? Because if the parachutes are strong enough to attach to that, the crane is too. These two holes right there, there's the mortars for firing out the parachute rigging to make sure all the ropes from the parachutes get away from the capsule.
This capsule had just completed
there's the channels, and then there's your parachute bay right there.
And now is being returned.
Bro, that's sick.
To Go Navigator. The first time for these crew members to be on Earth in
salt
almost
water
6
in the parachute.
months.
Brought some water with it. Okay, bring her down. Oh, don't you dare drop it. Don't you dare drop that thing, man. Jeez. Yep, there's still crew inside, SRJ, yep.
Pretty much on the center of the screen, you can see the side hatch of the Dragon capsule. Later on today, that's where the astronauts will be egressing from.
Yep, that's the main hatch right there.
When they were attached to the International Space Station, they exited from the top hatch where the nose cone opens up.
Okay, so now they're going to undo the rigging, and then Dragon will it's actually on like a little conveyor belt, and it'll move forward.
Holes, essentially, that you see up toward the top of the nose cone above the...
Resilience, welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing final checks. Stand by for translation of the egress platform in a couple minutes.
They're plugging up the thrusters.
Resilience copies.
Those two holes
Welcome home, guys.
Aboard the Crew Dragon above the hatch and close to the nose cone, those are where the drogue parachutes were stored in that upper bulkhead. And there's near a deployable panel, so they're deployed by 2 drogue mortars, which are pyrotechnics fired to deploy the chutes. And those 4 main parachutes are also stored under deployable panels, but those are near the base of the spacecraft, so below that side hatch panel, and those were drawn out by the drogue chutes. Everything just absolutely flawless tonight with the recovery of Crew Dragon Resilience.
So before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment.
Yep.
So once the hatch is open, that will be Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission back in November of last year.
So freaking cool. I love it.
The next visual we are looking for is for Dragon to be pulled toward the egress platform.
Look at
on the Dragon.
Look at how plasma scorches between the 2 Super Draco pods. See that?
Up toward the side hatch. That'll allow for easier extraction, removal of the crew members.
Okay, they're gonna undo the rigging from the crane here.
It's important to note that Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi will be getting assistance from the recovery teams while exiting the capsule. And this is the same process for any returning long-duration crew members, as returning to a gravity environment can essentially wreak havoc with our vestibular system, which is responsible for maintaining our balance and motion. And safety is our #1 priority with this operation, as you've seen throughout not just today, but this entire mission. So you'll see all Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi helped out of the capsule. We won't see them outside of the capsule today, but they will be assisted a few feet to the medical quarters aboard the boat. And we discussed earlier, if you've seen crews return on a Soyuz, it's the same process as when astronauts are carried from the capsule to waiting chairs and then carried into the nearby medical tent. This is also the period where any time-critical cargo
it's
can be
snackless,
removed
but
from the
I don't know.
spacecraft,
I
with
forget.
the remainder waiting until the ship is back in port. But once the ship and capsule return, the recovery team will perform additional inspections before loading Dragon onto a flatbed truck at the SpaceX facility in Cape Canaveral for post-processing.
That's so freaking cool. All right, now that they got all the rigging undone, I'm telling you, Dragon is on a big conveyor belt, and it's going to move towards the bow of the ship up to the egress decks. So the egress decks are... Oh, and right as I said it, there it goes. Big conveyor belt. And we lost the picture. That's good. Oh, there it goes. Yep, see?
So the crew just secured Dragon.
There's the egress decks.
Onto the recovery vessel, and now it's moving towards the platform where eventually the hatch
note
will
that
open
everybody
up.
has gas masks. They're sweeping for hypergulls, just to be sure.
More personnel.
Dude, Kyle got it!
With the recovery
No
operations.
way! Kyle got it! That's awesome. He got footage of the reentry. That's sick.
And that platform coming right below the side hatch, making it much easier for teams to help the crew egress or exit the vehicle.
Look at leeward side got toasted, man.
This is the first time that this side hatch will be opened since launch day, November 15th.
Yep, we watched them close that hatch,
on the
guys.
International Space Station is that forward
Remember they had a leak check?
the nose cone,
Who was there for that?
Closed at the top of the vehicle. So as soon as this was sealed by SpaceX teams back in November, it has not been reopened since. And we see teams still preparing the capsule
November 15th.
for that hatch opening.
So what they're doing is they're doing some final leak checks here to make sure that there's no toxic propellants in the air. Once again, Dragon uses monomethyl hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. If that meant nothing to you, because the first time someone said it to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, I know what that is. No. The little thrusters on Dragon, you see them right there? The Draco thrusters. They use toxic propellants. The reason why they use like a weird chemical for the propellants is because you can store the fuel up there for long periods of time. It's a chemical that kind of doesn't decompose over time. So they can leave it up there. But it's really good for spacecraft fuel, but it's really bad for humans. So all these guys have gas masks on, and they're sweeping for the hypergulls before they start to open up the hatch. And once they get a good sweep check, that's when they'll start hatch opening procedures.
And all of the parachutes, both the drogues and the main chutes,
yes, they did spot
have been located, and those will be recovered.
A hypergall leak put some Apollo astronauts in the hospital for a little while. I forget which one it was. Somebody knows, though. I know, Aiden, right? Or a right exit.
SpaceX resilience.
Okay, Mike's communicating.
Go for SpaceX.
Apollo Soyuz.
Hey, Solo, you guys are welcome to come on board with the cameras if you'd like.
SpaceX copies and work.
Okay. We might get some interior shots here.
And Solo, you got one more call before we wrap things up, is that correct?
Affirmative. We have a few technicians just doing some work on the exterior of the hatch. We should be ready to open
They
up.
do, Khaled.
Copy.
They dump all of it, but there could be some residuals. You don't screw around with hypergulls. You breathe it, it'll kill you. Like, not even...
Now the crew members will not
it's
ride
very
this
low
boat all
ppm
the
to
way
kill
back
you.
to shore.
Like, if even a
They will
tiny
board
bit will
helicopter,
make you really sick. It'll
and the
screw with your
helicopter
lungs.
will take them back to Pensacola.
Yeah, you
And
really
waiting
gotta
there
be
will
sure,
a
man.
NASA plane to bring them back
Thanks,
to
Nuggets.
Houston.
Yep. You guys ever seen The Rock? Something like that. Yeah, like that.
It's real.
It screws with
about
your lungs,
7
man.
hours ago, this capsule was traveling at over...
And Dragon, stand by for side hatch opening and egress.
Okay.
Okay, Solo, we are standing by.
Kind of. It's an
And,
inhibitor. I think it's called a capillary
Solo,
inhibitor.
for SpaceX and the NASA teams, on behalf of Crew-1 and our families, we just want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for this amazing vehicle resilience. We said it before the mission, and I'm going to say it again here afterwards. It's amazing what can be accomplished when people come together.
Thank you,
so
Mike.
finally, I'd just like to say, quite frankly, you all are changing the world. Congratulations. It's great to be back.
Thank you, Mike, and Vic, and Shannon, and Suichi. Heck yeah.
And Hopper, thanks so much. You've got a round of applause here in Mission Control. And from all of us, it's truly been epic working with your team.
Okay,
from early development
access
through
panels
Splashdown,
off. They're going to go to poll.
Of the world's first long-duration space flight, human space flight. Your crew is really a tribute to Resilience's name. We wish you all happy reunions with your families and loved ones. Thanks again for flying SpaceX.
Okay, ingressed. So the guy in the blues is an astronaut?
Thank you all.
Okay.
So we had some kind words exchanged from the core and Mike Hopkins.
Yeah, that was a lot faster than DM2,
the
huh?
hatch is now open. We also heard some applause at Mission Control here in SpaceX. Just a tremendous amount of dedication.
The paint is thermal protection system, Reverell. It's not paint.
Over the last couple of years.
It's not just there to look nice.
We're really seeing the fruits of the labor now, really ending the mission. And, you know,
give us
just
an
7 hours
interior
ago,
shot.
this
Come on.
capsule was traveling at over 17,000 miles an hour in space, docked to the International Space Station. And now it's safely secured back on Earth, and we have the hatch open.
Well, he's got an astronaut insignia on him, Matt, but he could be both. Keep in mind, he could be both of those
that hatch
things.
open for the first time, as we mentioned, since launch day, November 15th, 2020. These astronauts completing the first long-duration commercial crew mission, and now holding the record for the longest time in space by an American crewed capsule, with returning with 168 days.
But when the crews are up on the ISS, dude, they're working out 2 hours a day. ISS doesn't skip leg day. You seriously can't. It'll kill you if you come back down, because you'll get atrophy in your muscles, and then if you try to stand up in Earth's gravel after being up there for too long, your heart will go into overdrive and you'll have a heart attack. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not going to happen to these guys. That's why they have a flight surgeon there. And if you notice, that room that's right there is a field hospital. They have that just in case, and they bring them out on kind of like a stretcher almost. But yeah, you got to work out. Benno, you're working out 2 hours in space every day. Every day. Every day. To make sure that you keep bone density, you keep muscle mass up. So they can come back down and be relatively okay. Now, don't get me wrong. They still do it out of an abundance of caution, because you don't want to take any chances with your ticker, man. That's no joke. But yeah, you got to be careful. How long? In terms of how long? A week. A week. If you don't work out, it'll really screw you up badly.
Coming up on 40
Think about it, man. Think about how much you use your legs during the day. You're going from like standing, walking around to nothing.
6:56 GMT, 11:56 p.m. Pacific time.
The ISS stands for International
Returning
Swall
Crew-1 aboard Crew-Dragon Resilience.
Oh, yeah.
The side hatch now open. Crew members.
It's the most expensive gym ever.
Speaking with medical personnel and preparing for egress.
Arsenal. The shuttle had a gym on it. Did they train during Apollo? Yeah, Sergeant, but I'm not sure I don't know how they did it on Apollo. I don't know how they worked out. Yeah, if you thought your gym fees were high. Actually, they get paid to work out, just saying. Okay, so you're looking at a shot here, a Go Navigator. Go Navigator is a SpaceX recovery vessel. You can see Dragon Resilience here. The Crew-1 capsule just came down through re-entry. They do have the hatch open up on the left side of the screen. They have the hatch open.
Everything was on the timeline for Crew-Dragon today, undocking at 5:35 p.m. Pacific time, completing those 4 departure burns, as well as nose cone, or as claw separation and trunk jettison. We had some amazing views from the International Space Station along the way. That deorbit burn lasting the scheduled 16.5 minutes.
Oh, there you go, Ambroso.
Slowing down Crew-Dragon just enough to drop them out of Earth's orbit, begin their re-entry into the atmosphere.
I'm mighty proud of that ragged old
drogue
flag.
Parachutes deployed nominally, followed by 4 good main parachutes and a soft splashdown as scheduled in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Panama City, Florida at 11:56 p.m. Pacific time, 6:56 GMT.
And after splashdown, we saw the 2 fast boats
approaching
the vehicle. The first one made sure the area was safe for approach, And then one of the riggers climbed on top of the capsule and started preparing it.
What is he working on? It looks like he's messing with something with the seal. My guess is that they're going to.
That is on screen right now. Go navigate.
My guess is that they're putting in the covers on this thing to make sure that the seal's mating edge. Yeah, see, they're covering it with tape so nobody gets cut on it because it's a sharp piece. It's sharp metal where the hatch actually mates to it, so they're putting the covers on to make sure nobody gets hurt coming in and out of the capsule during what's called capsule egress.
It's A-OK after what really has been a picture-perfect
So I may have some Chuck Taylors right there
so far.
Or rip the suits. Yeah, that's probably the more important
on the timeline to egress or exit Dragon in under an
No,
hour after
it's got some
splashdown.
Chucks, man.
So
hell yeah.
they still have
Something
about
like that.
20 minutes until we reach, or 18 minutes until we reach that hour mark, and
correct, Teep. Either on
perfectly
Crew 3 or on Inspiration 4. We're not sure.
To have been opened.
Okay, there's one of the kits and one of the caps.
I just saw one of those tablets being removed
Leah
that
has it.
the crew members were using to track the mission throughout the day.
Yeah, Rezel. Okay.
Just as it takes a little while to get crew members strapped in properly.
Okay, taking out the foot covers or the foot.
Well, preparing for
I was about
launch,
to say foot
we
holsters.
See the same thing whenever they come
That's not
home.
what that's
we
called.
Make sure that everything is done in an orderly fashion
yeah.
and safely for our 4 astronauts.
Oh, thanks, Casper. I appreciate that. A bald joke out of just completely unsolicited. I appreciate it. Foot holsters. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm really, really tired right now. I think I've been streaming for like 14 hours straight, man. A little tired, guys. You have to bear with me. They're the foot rests. The foot holsters. That's a thing now. Foot holsters, bro. Foot holsters. All I picture is like a cowboy, right? Cowboy drawing, but instead of drawing like a single action revolver, he draws a shoe.
And that looked like those
just go ahead, make my day.
Footrests, essentially. I'm not
is
sure
who
the
throws his
best thing to
shoe,
call them.
man.
I can't think of it right now.
You fought like a weakling. Just whoosh, you know. He bends his feet into the holster. Wait, what? Foot holster? Was that a Ferrari shoe? No, I think this belongs to some tractor company or something. I think this belongs to some tractor company. That's the logo on the side. No, I love Ferrari. I couldn't afford the car, so I bought the shoe, all right?
Gave the astronauts a view. Earlier they said they had a great view of the International Space Station. And even upon launch day, they gave us some views as they were heading to the space station. So those are their 2 windows that they've been able to look out during their journey aboard this spacecraft.
For any of the Italians that are still watching, all right? 1, I'm Italian. I can make that joke ethnically. I was born in the States. 2, I've been a Scuderia Ferrari fan for 25 years, okay? I've been through the ups and the downs. I can make that joke. I've earned the right of being on a dry spell since 2007. I've earned the right to make that joke. No one else can make that joke. Lamborghini is a tractor company, Backsock. They still make tractors to this day. What was the astronaut scoop? There's the footrests we're on. Yeah, Geek, it's true. As a Williams fan, oh, I'm sorry, man, jeez. Footrests on the foot holsters, bro.
On screen
Dude,
right
I can't
now
even
is
talk
the
straight anymore.
Crew-1 capsule
Foot West.
resilience has
One
returned
Elma Fudd.
from
Very,
space.
very quiet. I'm wangling dragons.
We are on sort of the back end of the recovery vessel.
Here we go. Who's coming out first?
Here is
Mike?
I think that's Mike Hopkins, the commander.
Yeah, my dude.
Feeling pretty good.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. You don't need no stretcher, man. Just walk out. Just walk right out.
The astronauts.
Boom. All right, Vic.
Coming out of the Dragon vehicle.
Vic should be next.
We're just off the coast of Panama City, Florida. and the hatch has.
I told you, working out 2 hours every day, Si.
It looks like the seat rests.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend like running a marathon right now, but
the footrests were removed.
What footrests?
And now we just saw the commander, Mike Hopkins, exit the vehicle.
Have the fastest foot in the West. That's right. Mike gets up. Nah, I don't need the stretcher. I'm good. Where do I sit? Yeah, Mitch.
As you mentioned, these crew members will be making their way over to some medical checks. Standard procedure for us when we have
Victor's
crew members
iPad there.
returning from long-duration space flight or any space flight, really. When we are having crew members return on a Soyuz spacecraft in Kazakhstan, there is a medical tent nearby, and we carry those crew members from the spacecraft to the medical tent for their checkouts. So even though the crew is reported they're feeling good, and it certainly looked like Mike Hopkins was feeling good, they will still get those standard medical checks before boarding a helicopter later this evening to
they're vans, not Converse. You're right.
Take them back to shore.
Shame.
And once they are
soon
on land in Florida, they will board a NASA plane to bring them back
to holsters for sure, Geek.
In Houston, Texas, where they can be reunited with friends and family for the first time in almost 6 months.
What are we doing here? What's the ramp for?
Bottom left of your screen, there is a stretcher there. Again, that is standard. Returning back to Earth after such a long duration in microgravity has, it can do things to your body.
Okay. Who are they bringing out? Is this Vic?
Those two SpaceX team members preparing to help out the next crew member.
Yep, Vic's coming out.
That is NASA astronaut Victor Glover.
Is he all right?
And this is a view of mission control in Hawthorne. Continuing to support the mission. We just saw Mike Hopkins exit the vehicle. Again, things are going pretty nominally. The vehicle had a splashdown.
That's exactly what's going on.
Approximately 11:56 p.m. Pacific time. And shortly after that, the recovery team began their operations.
He's a Navy fighter pilot, guys. He'll be fine.
Sniff out the hypergalls and make sure there wasn't any toxic vapors.
Probably
in the
just
air.
puked.
Began rigging the boat.
Would you,
eventually getting the Dragon capsule.
Can you imagine going through re-entry and then bobbing around in the water for a second? Oh yeah, no, I'd puke.
We saw Mike Hopkins out of the spacecraft first. He did a little dance for us to show us just how good he felt. And then followed by Victor Glover. Victor Glover returning from his first space flight. He was really the newbie on this trip, I guess you could say. He served as pilot of Crew-1, Crew Dragon Resilience. So he was the next out of the capsule. And we are still awaiting 2 more crew members to be removed from the capsule. And they will be checked out by those medical teams on board the ship. But as we heard earlier, they reported that they were feeling well.
Yeah, the 2 mission specialists that we haven't seen yet are Shannon Walker and Soichi Noguchi, who sat sort of on the ends of the
Victor's never flown into space, guys. All the other three, they've been in space before.
Pretty stellar return home today, only taking about 6.5 hours from undocking to splashdown. And throughout the mission today, we had really
it takes a second to get your sea legs.
Nominal departure burns. We did a prop wasting burn where we shed some unnecessary propellant from the vehicle to lighten the load of the Dragon spacecraft. And then we started to prepare for deorbit. So we had the claw retraction or separation. That is an umbilical that ties telemetry, data, and power from the capsule to the trunk. So we separated that. Then we also jettisoned the trunk, shedding a bit more weight.
Vic's
and then finally
Navy,
we had our deorbit burn, which
that's what I mean.
took about
they probably
16
did it out
minutes.
of caution.
And then we got some fantastic footage of Dragon returning back through the atmosphere, and then eventually when it deployed its chutes, it was definitely a sight to see.
And we saw all of those chutes deploy nominally. First 2 drogue chutes that slowed the spacecraft down to about 119 miles per hour. Those 4 main chutes following and slowing the spacecraft down to about 16 miles per hour for a much softer splashdown, and that splashdown coming right on time at 11:56 p.m. Pacific time, 6:56 GMT. So we have heard that Shannon Walker is now outside of the Crew Dragon Resilience capsule, leaving Soichi Noguchi to be the last crew member extracted today. And as we mentioned, they will all get medical checkouts ahead of heading back to land.
Can you give us a shot here?
Speedy operations to,
Discovery, go at throttle
get the capsule back onto the boat and open up the hatch. So again, Mike, Victor, and Shannon have exited the vehicle. And
what is SpaceX's monitor budget? Yes.
Confirmation that Soichi is also going to exit. And again, they are going to be checked out to make sure everything's okay, and then eventually make their way back towards Houston.
I don't know.
Where hopefully they can reunite with their family soon.
And we expect them to be back in Houston by the early hours of tomorrow morning, hopefully. Let's see here. They should return to Houston. I can't find the exact timeline just at this moment, but they will board a NASA jet once they return to
Texas,
land in Florida. That helicopter taking them from Go Navigator to Florida, and then the NASA plane taking them back to Ellington Field.
So name your Crew Dragon
it's quite a speedy recovery process. When we land crew members in Kazakhstan, we are able to get them out of the vehicle very quickly as well, because it is on land, so it's easier to approach and to maneuver around. They get medical checks as well, and then they board a NASA plane or the NASA astronauts, I should say, board a NASA plane and return to Houston. But that flight time is just so much longer, simply because it's on the other side of the world. So quite different for these astronauts to be reunited with their families very shortly after landing.
Yeah, and one thing that certainly helped the speedy recovery options today was the weather. We got good news that wind speed was super low, and the waves themselves were also very, very small. If you've been following along, the original departure date was supposed to be on the 28th, but we waived that due to weather, and then we also waived the attempt on the 30th. But today, conditions definitely seem ideal, and it definitely paid today as after the capsule had landed. The seas were as calm as I've ever seen them, making the trip for the fast boats to the capsule that much smoother.
And
they said something.
And good news, Soichi Noguchi has egressed the vehicle as well. So now that Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi are safely back home on Earth and getting checked out by the NASA medical team, we are going to wrap up our live coverage of their historic return. This all kicked off on November 15th, 2020 from historic launch pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. After successful liftoff and separation from Falcon 9, Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi made a 27-hour flight on board Dragon to the International Space Station. Since arriving at the space station, they spent almost 6 months as members of Expedition 6465, executing science experiments, spacewalks, and repairs while aboard the orbiting laboratory.
Their journey home today began just hours ago, Saturday, May 1st, when they closed the hatch to Dragon and undocked hours later at 5:35 p.m. Pacific time. We then jettisoned Dragon's trunk and performed our final on-orbit maneuver, the deorbit burn, at approximately 11:03 p.m. Pacific time.
So the computers in SpaceX Mission Control are all connected to a huge server. There's a huge server behind this. So the glass wall ends right here, and then on the other side of the wall, there's a server room. The server room has windows into the main production area, and there's a model of a T-800 Terminator and the alien sitting in SpaceX's server room, and it says Cyberdyne Systems on it.
And prepare Dragon Resilience for its lift onto the recovery vessel, and just a little less than an hour following
the trunk will burn up,
saw
Julia,
Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Soichi, safely
I've seen that
exit
many times
the
out of the
Dragon
shuttle
capsule.
wall.
Next up, they will catch a helicopter flight back to shore where they will transfer to the waiting NASA plane for the short flight back to Houston, where they will be reunited with families to bring an end to this flight.
Yes, J-Walk.
We can't express what an honor and a privilege it has been to share their journey with all of you as we continue this new era in human spaceflight. In just the last week, we saw 4 astronauts fly to station to begin their mission, and now 4 more return to Earth to successfully complete another.
So SpaceX and NASA are already looking forward to the next rotation when Crew-2 comes home and Crew-3 launches, all of which is currently targeted for October of this year. And at that time, we'll once again have a direct handover with 11 people on board the station for a short duration as we continue this regular cadence of flying astronauts on SpaceX rockets from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Again, thank you for tuning in for the culmination of Crew-1, a 6-month mission that has been years in the making. All of us here at SpaceX and NASA are excited to reunite these 4 astronauts with their families. We'll continue to work hard to ensure future astronauts' safety and mission success. So be sure to follow SpaceX and NASA online, as well as the social media for updates on crew and cargo flights to and from the International Space Station.
And we'll continue to share the progress of Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Suichi's trip back to Houston on social media. We are also awaiting a briefing including NASA, SpaceX, and JAXA leadership. That's coming up at 2 a.m. Pacific time, 5 a.m. Eastern time. So we have to say thank you one more time again for tuning in and cheering on Mike, Victor, Shannon, and Suichi as they return home. And we'll see you next time when we once again are sending astronauts on American rockets and American spacecraft from American soil. See you next time.
And a girl, Leah. Hell yeah! I'm not dead anymore. She said AAA. No, she said the AAA word. The AAA phrase. Pretty good, huh? So goddamn cool. What's AAA? American astronauts on American rockets from American soil, baby. That's AAA. Are you staying up for the conference? Squad, ¿a qué hora Fórmula 1? See you, Mike. 6 horas. No necesito. Estoy cansado. Mucho cansado. Alright, guys, there's a NASA press conference in about an hour. Bless you. Yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep before the Formula 1 race. We got Portimao for the Formula 1 race. Yeah, I was gonna say qualifying. Yeah, I knew it was the race. I knew what you meant, dude. It's all good. Okay. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll go over the press conference if anything is outstanding from it on Monday. Also, When Hop is on Monday as well. Yeah. What a ride, man. What a ride. There's the second Dragon up at the ISS right now, and the first one just came back, man. It seems like DM2 wasn't that long ago. Three Dragon missions have flown since then, dude. Like, what? Where? How did we get here? Bill swearing in is also on Monday. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for watching. If you like space stuff, I cover all types of space stuff from all over the world. So consider giving a follow. You guys know I don't say that all the time. But if I'm going to say it any time, it's going to be right now. So, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I don't stream on Sundays, but because I'm going to watch the Formula 1 race. And I'll talk to you guys all on Monday. What a fun ride, huh? Thank you. Thank you for watching it with me. I do appreciate it. It is a good time. We have fun. I know we screw around sometimes, but it is still cool. Still cool. All right. I'll see you guys. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your weekend. Wait, who should we raid? Do we want to make Hurt go crazy? We'll raid Hurt for like 1,000 viewers. Hurt's the only guy. Actually, Hurt is streaming, but we raided him yesterday. Let's see who is still streaming. Is there anyone around? See you later, guys. My buddy Rodrigo is streaming. Let's go see what RG's up to. He's playing some Kerbal. I can't think of a better time. Wait, Nathan's streaming KSP?